Alright, so the sky just turned orange. The wind sounds like it's personally angry at you, and there's enough particulate matter in the air to sandblast a car. Before we get started, check out the link in the description to download our ebook. Check out our merch. Use the discount code YouTube, link in the description. Now let's get back to the video. Welcome to dust storm season. And here's the thing nobody tells you until it's too late. When the storm hits, your eyes become the primary target. Not your lungs, not your skin, your eyes. Those soft, squishy, irreplaceable orbs that let you see where you're going. And in a survival situation, going blind is not on the agenda. So today, we're building eye protection from whatever junk the apocalypse left behind. No hardware store, no Amazon delivery, just you, some trash, and the burning need to not have your corneas shredded by airborne grit. Let's get started. Let's talk about what a dust storm actually does to your eyes, because understanding the enemy is half the battle. The other half is duct tape, but we'll get to that. When you're caught in a dust storm, you're not just dealing with regular dirt. You're dealing with microscopic particles of silica, sand, ash, agricultural debris, and whatever else the wind decided to pick up that day. Maybe some dried manure, if you're really lucky. These particles are small enough to get everywhere, and sharp enough to scratch your corneal surface like sandpaper on glass. The immediate effect is pain. Lots of it. Your eyes will water uncontrollably, which sounds helpful, but actually just turns the dust into a muddy paste on your eyeballs. Visibility drops to near zero. You'll be blinking constantly, which grinds the particles deeper into your eye tissue. It's like having a tiny sadistic exfoliating treatment that you absolutely did not sign up for. But the real problem is the long-term damage. Corneal abrasions can lead to infections. Repeated exposure causes scarring. Scarring leads to permanent vision loss. And in a survival scenario, losing your eyesight is essentially a death sentence. You can't navigate. You can't identify threats. You can't read labels on canned food to figure out if you're eating beans or dog food. Though at that point, you might not care. So, eye protection isn't optional. It's mandatory. And since the sporting goods store is probably buried under 3 feet of radioactive dust or whatever caused this mess, we're improvising. Let's inventory what we're working with. And by inventory, I mean raid the junk pile and pretend we're resourceful instead of desperate. First, plastic bottles, water bottles, soda bottles, basically anything transparent. These will become our lenses. Are they optically perfect? Absolutely not. Will they keep debris out of your eyes? Yes. And that's the bar we're aiming for here. Next, actual lenses, if you can find them. Old reading glasses, broken safety goggles, the glass from a picture frame if you're feeling fancy, magnifying glasses from a kid's detective kit. Anything transparent and somewhat durable. Bonus points if it's already curved, because we're going for coverage, not fashion. Wire. Lots of wire. Electrical wire, coat hangers, wire from broken fences. This is your structural support. The skeleton of your trash goggles, if you will. Cloth for padding. Old t-shirts, towels, bandanas, anything soft. This creates the seal around your eyes and prevents the goggles from digging into your face like a medieval torture device. Comfort matters when you're wearing something held together with optimism and scavenged materials. Tape, duct tape, electrical tape, packing tape, masking tape. If it's sticky, it's coming with us. Tape is the duct tape of survival. Wait, that's redundant. Tape is the universal adhesive of, I don't have proper tools, so this will have to work. Rubber bands, elastic straps, or rubber from old tires. You need something to hold these goggles to your face. A rubber band from a head of broccoli works. A strip cut from an old bicycle inner tube works. The elastic from someone's abandoned underwear technically works, but we're not discussing that. And finally, broken electronics. Specifically, the clear plastic casings, CD cases, old phone screens if they're not shattered, the protective covers from random gadgets. Modern junk is surprisingly useful when you're building state-of-the-art trash technology. Before we start gluing garbage to our faces, let's talk about what makes eye protection actually work. Because slapping a bottle on your head and calling it done is how you end up with worse problems than the dust storm. There are 3 key principles here: sealing, airflow, and transparency. Sealing is priority number 1. Your goggles need to create a barrier between your eyes and the outside world. That means the edges must sit flush against your face. No gaps. Dust will find any opening like water finds a crack. If there's a millimeter gap near your nose, congratulations, you've just built a funnel that directs all the dust directly into your left eye. The seal doesn't need to be airtight, but it needs to be dust-tight. This is where the cloth padding comes in. Foam would be better, but we're working with what we have, and what we have is an old sock. Airflow is the tricky one. You need ventilation to prevent fogging, but you can't have so much ventilation that dust gets in. This is the engineering challenge that separates functional goggles from a plastic bottle taped to your face. Small filtered vents work. Breathable cloth works if it's fine enough to block particles, but loose enough to let moisture escape. No ventilation means your goggles fog up in 30 seconds, and you might as well be blind anyway. Transparency is obvious, but worth stating. You need to see through these things. Scratched plastic reduces visibility. Dirty lenses reduce visibility. Lenses that are literally just the bottom of a green beer bottle reduce visibility and also make everything look like you're living in the Matrix. Clear plastic is ideal. Slightly tinted is acceptable. Opaque is a mistake. And here's the bonus principle. They need to stay on your head. Goggles that fall off during a dust storm are just expensive littering. Well, not expensive. Free littering. The point is, secure them properly. Let's be honest, your first attempt is going to be terrible. Possibly your second and third too. That's fine. Even NASA had failures, and they had actual engineers. You have a pile of trash and questionable decision-making skills. Let's talk about what's going to go wrong. Bad lenses. You'll think this bottle plastic is perfectly clear, and then you'll cut it out and discover it's warped, scratched, or so thick you can't see anything that isn't directly in front of you. Your peripheral vision becomes a suggestion. You'll walk into walls. Congratulations, you've invented blinders for humans. Very useful if you're a racehorse. Less useful if you're trying to navigate a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Then there's fogging. Oh, the fogging? You'll build your goggles, put them on, and within 10 seconds your own breath will turn them into opaque steam-covered messes. You can't see. You're breathing heavily because you're panicking about not being able to see. The heavy breathing makes more fog. It's a feedback loop of failure. You'll rip them off, wipe them down, put them back on, and the cycle repeats. At this point, you'll consider just facing the dust storm with your naked eyes out of spite. Tape disasters are inevitable. You'll use too much tape, and the goggles become rigid and unwearable. You'll use too little tape, and they fall apart when you sneeze. You'll use the wrong kind of tape, and it doesn't stick to plastic. So now you're holding the components together with your hands like some kind of manual goggle assistant. You'll get tape stuck in your hair. You'll get tape stuck in your eyebrows. You'll wonder if going blind would have been simpler. And let's talk about strap failures. You'll use a rubber band that's too tight, and it feels like your skull is being compressed in a vise. You'll use one that's too loose, and the goggles slide down your face and rest on your cheekbones like the world's worst reading glasses. You'll try string, which doesn't have any elasticity, so turning your head causes the goggles to shift, and now you're seeing out of one lens while the other one is pointing at your ear. The padding will be wrong. Too thick, and the goggles sit too far from your face, leaving gaps. Too thin, and you've basically created a plastic cookie cutter that will leave goggle-shaped indents in your skin for days. You'll look like you've been attacked by a very geometric octopus. But here's the thing. Every failure teaches you something. Mostly, it teaches you that improvised engineering is harder than YouTube makes it look. But also, you learn what works. You iterate. You improve. You become the Leonardo da Vinci of trash goggles. Probably not, but you'll get something functional eventually. All right, let's build something that actually works. Here's the design that won't make you look like a complete disaster. Well, you'll still look like a disaster, but a functional one. Start with the lenses. Cut 2 sections from a clear plastic bottle. The curved part of the bottle works best because it naturally follows the contour of your face. Cut them large enough to cover your eye sockets completely, with at least an inch of overlap on all sides. Don't make them too big, or you'll have peripheral vision, but also peripheral gaps where dust sneaks in. If you have actual lenses from glasses or old goggles, even better. Use those. Just make sure they're clean and uncracked. A cracked lens is a debris magnet and also a great way to get plastic shards in your eye, which defeats the entire purpose. Now create the frame. Bend wire into a shape that follows your brow line and wraps around to your temples. Think of it like eyeglass frames, but chunkier and held together with desperation. Use 2 pieces of wire, one for each eye, and connect them with a bridge over your nose. Secure the lenses to the wire frame using small strips of tape or by poking holes in the plastic and threading wire through. Make sure everything is tight. Loose lenses shift around and create gaps. Next, the padding. Cut strips of cloth about an inch wide and long enough to go around the perimeter of each lens. Fold the cloth into a thick band and attach it to the inside edge of the goggles where they'll contact your face. This is your seal. Use tape to secure the cloth to the plastic and wire frame. The goal is to create a soft barrier that conforms to your face shape. Test the fit. Press the goggles against your face. If you feel hard edges or gaps, add more padding. If it feels like you're being suffocated by fabric, use less. For the straps, use elastic if you have it. Cut a piece long enough to wrap around your head with a few inches of overlap. Attach each end to the sides of the goggle frame. Knot it if you don't have better attachment methods. If you don't have elastic, use a strip of rubber from an inner tube. It's less comfortable, but more durable. Tie it tight enough to hold the goggles securely, but not so tight that you get a headache in 3 minutes. Finally, ventilation. This is critical. Use a needle or small blade to poke tiny holes near the top and bottom edges of the goggles, away from direct eyeline, not big holes, pinprick size, just enough to let moisture escape without letting dust in. Alternatively, leave a small gap in the padding near your temples and cover it with a layer of fine cloth that acts as a filter. The cloth blocks particles but allows air to pass through. It's low-tech, but it works. Now you have a functional pair of makeshift goggles. Are they pretty? No. Would you wear them to a job interview? Absolutely not, unless you're interviewing to be a wasteland survivor, in which case they're perfect. But they'll protect your eyes, they'll stay on your face, and they won't fog up immediately. That's a win. Let's talk about not accidentally maiming yourself with your own survival gear, because that would be embarrassing. First, avoid fog buildup. Even with ventilation, goggles can fog. Before putting them on, wipe the inside of the lenses with a tiny amount of soap or detergent if you have it. Let it dry. This creates a thin film that reduces fogging. If you don't have soap, spit works. Yes, really, it's gross. But survival isn't about dignity. Just don't tell anyone. Ensure visibility before you commit. Put the goggles on in a safe environment and look around. Can you see clearly? Is your peripheral vision adequate? Can you judge distances? If the answer to any of these is no, adjust or rebuild. Wearing goggles that impair your vision is like wearing a blindfold with extra steps. Do not melt plastic near your face. This should be obvious, but people do stupid things under stress. If you're using heat to shape plastic, do it away from your body. Melted plastic on skin causes burns that don't heal well in survival conditions. Also, plastic fumes are toxic. Work in a ventilated area. Don't huff melted bottle vapors and then wonder why you're dizzy. Check for sharp edges. Run your fingers around the entire goggle assembly. Any sharp points or rough edges that could scratch your face or poke your eyes need to be filed down, covered with tape, or padded with cloth. Your face is going to be in contact with these goggles for extended periods. Make them as comfortable as possible. Don't over-tighten the straps. Yes, you want a secure fit. No, you don't want to cut off blood flow to your brain. If you start getting a headache or seeing spots, loosen the straps. A slightly looser fit that requires occasional adjustment is better than passing out from strap-induced cranial compression. Replace the padding if it gets wet. Wet fabric loses its cushioning properties and can harbor bacteria. In a prolonged survival situation, hygiene matters. Swap out dirty padding with clean cloth whenever possible. This also prevents skin irritation and infections around your eyes. And finally, don't trust them blindly, pun intended. These are improvised goggles made from garbage. They're better than nothing, but they're not invincible. If a massive dust storm hits and visibility is zero, find shelter. Don't rely on trash goggles to navigate a sandblaster-level apocalypse. Know their limitations. Here's the thing about survival. It's not about having perfect gear. It's about making do with what you have and not letting imperfect solutions stop you from solving problems. Those goggles you just built from a water bottle and an old shirt, they're not going to win any design awards. They're probably not even symmetrical, but they'll keep dust out of your eyes. They'll let you navigate when everyone else is blind and stumbling. They'll buy you time and safety in a situation where both are in short supply. Clear vision is survival, and sometimes clarity is built from chaos. You take the broken pieces of a world that didn't prepare you for this, and you improvise. You adapt, you figure it out, because the alternative is sitting in the dirt, rubbing your eyes, and hoping the storm passes before permanent damage sets in. And that's not a strategy, that's giving up. Every piece of junk you scavenge is a potential solution. Every failure teaches you what not to do next time. Every successful improvisation proves you're more resourceful than you thought. You're not just building goggles, you're building the mindset that keeps you alive when everything falls apart. So when the next dust storm rolls in and the sky turns that ominous shade of brown, you'll have options, you'll have protection, you'll have vision, and most importantly, you'll have proof that survival isn't about what you started with. It's about what you're willing to create from nothing. Stay safe out there, keep your eyes covered, and remember, in the wasteland, state-of-the-art trash technology is just called technology. Now go build something functional from your garbage pile. You've got this.